Greetings, fellow villagers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Night is Coming. Episode 2, Entering the Pinewood Forest. How does the warriors level up? They they'll level up with combat experience. So like the warriors I have 11% experience and the one I train has 9. So as they battle, they get stronger. And you can also make them new equipment too. I'll get into that later on when it becomes relevant. The spell I mentioned earlier is called Fertility. We asked the goddess Mokosh's help. Alright, so let's open up a research tree. Click Fertility. Not enough technology points, so we get a new one. And unlock Fertility. Then, we go to the spellcasting menu. Just like I found the Spirit Charm, we hit Fertility. And now, the crops are fully ripened, so we can harvest them. What a wonderful harvest. Now we need to take care of preserving it. When people are hungry, they will eat any food they see, even raw meat. But it's much more efficient to prepare meals for the entire settlement. To do this, we need a tavern. So, let's go to, and before we get the tavern, we are going to need a forge. The tavern requires resources that can't easily be, that have to be forged. So, I'm going to create a forge, let's say here. I'm going to create warehouses next to the forge. And the forge is going to need 4 boards, 2 stone. And I'm almost out of stone, quarried stone, so let's quarry up this stone too. Well, I'm really... Oh, you know what? I think the time progression pause. Yeah, it's part of the tutorial. Like, time is not elapsing, which is why I'm able to get so much done before nightfall. That makes sense. Okay, with the forge, we'll be able to make the materials we need for the tavern. So, opening up our research tree again, spending spirit to unlock tavern, and we will set up a tavern here. Taverns require 2 straw, which I don't have, 2 stone, which I don't have, 2 cogwheels, which I don't have, and 2 metal parts, which I don't have. The metal parts are iron and coal, so I'm going to need to go get iron, but the tutorial is already telling me that I get iron down here, so I'm going to send my army down there to investigate. 2 cogwheels. Done. And 2 stone. Done. And then 2 straw. Done. And my army got down here, and lo and behold, there's iron. Generally speaking, in order to get strategic resources like iron and even better ores, you'll have to risk going deeper into the forest. So it's part of the progression tree. The buildings are pretty big in this game. That they are. And they can be really challenging to protect what you want to keep protected as a result. So they're big, kind of by design. This warehouse is going to be no food or crop variety. And then the original warehouse is going to be the same. Now that we're done with the farming, I'm going to drop that down, because it doesn't really matter for the tutorial. So here's our iron miner. And if you think it looks ridiculous, it's because I'm speeding through the tutorial on 16x speed. And quite frankly, that's probably enough. So if you ever want to cancel a collection, there's a cancel button in the gathering, so I can tell them not to bother. Because I don't need 70 iron, which was in 1 node. I only needed like 4. So this warehouse here is going to be only crop varieties and food. So we have the non-food warehouses and the food warehouses next to the tavern. And now at our forge, we're making the metal parts that are going to be required for our tavern. You also will see that the haulers, the transporters, are transporting the vegetables and berries to the tavern's warehouse. Which, if you wanted to, you could, like, rename. So, like, tavern, warehouse, for instance. Warehouse! Yes, that's totally what I meant to type. And that way you can keep track of where your resources are a little bit more easily. And here's the tavern, all done and built. Double click that, and we want to select baked vegetable meals. So instead of eating raw berries and raw veggies, we're going to bake them, which allows us to stretch our meals further out, which is good. Good. Now that residents are provided with food and shelter and food, you must think about how to manage the settlers more effectively. You can give orders not to individual people, considering their strong and weak traits. So, switch to manual priority management, which is in here. Increase the profession preference of any settler. So the hearts here are the... So to back it up a little bit, the more jobs that they have, the worse their morale and stress is going to be. So if you hold left shift and right click, you can turn off jobs. So for instance, Boris here does not want to weave. Does not want to blacksmith, wants to transport, and wants to farm. And I'm also going to turn him off on hunting and cooking. And now he is less likely to suffer from negative morale as a result of his job restrictions. So here you could assign professions to settlers, priority, 1 being the highest. More active professions, the higher the load. The higher the load, the faster the settler gets tired and works slower. Settlers have favorite and disliked professions. Favorite ones give less load, disliked ones give more. You can increase a settler's love for a profession by clicking the upgrade button. So you can spend spirit points to modify this. So for instance, if I wanted to change, like right now, I don't have anyone that likes weaving. So if I wanted to change Vidislav preference for weaving, I could click this here, and it will change the work preferences. Reduce the workload for the settlers. Let's do that. And I'm going to reduce all of them to like a standard load. So cooking and hunting. I don't have anyone that can weave, so I don't really need to worry about that. In fact, I don't even have hunting in the colony. Let's see. There we go. So now all of them are like equal load. I feel that you are close to full understanding of how to manage the settlement. This is a high time because I sense the presence of Prince Velimir. His next attack will be the most powerful. Velimir will send his nightmare servants into battle. We need to surround the settlement with walls and build a defensive tower. So opening up our construction menu, there is gates and stockades. And the enemies will prefer attacking gates and stockades. So they're a really good way to like slow down enemy approach. So we only need 20 of them for this tutorial. So here's like 20 walls and a gate. It also wants a defensive tower, and a defensive tower needs to be unlocked. So spending some dark shards to unlock the defensive tower tech, and plopping the one here as well. The stockades and the gate and the tower are all going to require quite a lot of wood and some construction materials. So, queuing up the construction materials of the carpentry workshop. Let's queue up 64 of it, which means we're going to need to cut down some more trees. Hey, Shadow, thank you for the resub. So the defensive tower needs logs and construction materials, and the stockade and the gates just need straight construction materials. I can also set up construction materials on the workbench too. No, I can't. Never mind. I was thinking of the stonemason. There we go. There's the gate. And the gate can be open or shut. So if you absolutely surround your entire village, you can actually shut yourself off from the outside, which keeps people protected. Is that because we're out of wood again? No, I just didn't make enough construction materials. Okay, let's queue up another 48. The stockade's done. And the tower's done. Research the combat technology Fire Whirlwind. The warriors are ready, the walls are built. All that remains is to resort to the help of magic. Trained wizards can support fighters and attack enemies with spells. Some monsters are especially vulnerable to spells. You can always check the bestiary to learn valuable information about the different enemies. So it wants me to unlock the Enchanter class, which is here, and then unlock the Whirlwind spell. The Whirlwind spell also comes with the added bonus of a +2 army size, because you have a finite amount of troops that you can have, which is down here. Of course, in this tutorial, I can have up to 206, but in normal gameplay, it's going to be like less than 20. And then we're going to train someone in an Enchanter, which, honestly, they all suck at it. But I'm going to say Boris. He's the least bad. I'm going to add him to the 1 group, and then also to the 3 group, because he's ranged. And cast an Enchanter spell on an allied warrior. So, the Enchanter spell is a Touch of Stone. Gives an ally a temporary enhancement that increases his defense. The spell will automatically be applied to a warrior who takes damage. So if you right-click this, as you can see, it gets highlighted for autocast. So normally, the Touch of Stone is autocasted. And if we take a look at, like, let's say Dalibor. Dalibor has, like, 0 defense. Let's cast it on Dalibor. And now Dalibor has 10 defense. It's down here, 10 defense. Well, I'm in the way, hold on. 10 defense, rather than the 0. Okay. Velomir's last attack in this forest is coming. If we succeed, we can leave this settlement and move on. The Miller will come tonight. I feel how in a few hours this earth will shake in this very place. So here is the attack line. And I just so happened to lay out my stockades like where the attack was coming. That was more by chance than design. But let's see if we can't like make a few more defenses before the big bad comes. Alright, here we go. Another blood moon arrives. And this is the last part of the tutorial, and then we'll start a real map. So in this fight, there is a big boss unit, the Miller. And he's armored. He has like an AoE attack, and he destroys buildings really effectively. As you can see, hits like a tank. Dalibor here got messed up. Crossa's almost dead. But I had the ranged units focus on the big bad and took him down. In fact, nobody died. No, actually I take that back. Dalibor died. The Miller has been defeated. We've done it, Great Chief. This is what people can achieve when they are led by a worthy leader. The settlement has become a stronghold in the fight against darkness. Now these lands have a chance to rid of evil forever. So that's the tutorial, which only took me about an hour, or just shy of an hour. So let's start a new game. I'm going to be playing in Pinewood on Sunset difficulty, which is medium. Because Twilight difficulty is pretty unforgiving. Let's be Yodaville, as usual.
Long ago.
And we've already listened to this, so I'm going to skip the intro video. We don't need that. All right. So here we are in Yodaville. Brand new. And following more or less what the tutorial laid out for us, we immediately want to get berries from the forest. So there's 50 berries. And then pretty soon thereafter, I'm going to want to be crafting up warehouses and setting up the initial tents and the like. So here's going to be the warehouses for the general goods, and let's queue up trees to be cut down for that. And in this case, we do start off with 2 militiamen, which are like less tanky than swordsmen, but have a unlocked ability where they do more damage. Personally, I like to get them to be swordsmen almost immediately. All right, in terms of tutorial, or in terms of everything else, let's immediately jump into the manual mode. I don't have hunting techs yet, so I can turn off hunting for everyone. I don't have blacksmithing yet, so I can turn off blacksmithing for everyone. I don't have weaving, so again, I can turn that off for everyone. This is going to really lighten their load and make them able to work a lot longer. So any non-relevant work can be just turned off right at the start. You like transport, you like construction, you like transport, construction, and obtaining. Nobody really likes carpentry. So Donna here, who doesn't have a strong preference for any of the other techs, will be our carpenter. And then you guys don't like stone cutting. Like none of you do. So Tomislav, you're going to be a stone cutter. So now they all have their work priorities and they have very low workload. Now in terms of the other workloads, let's go and try to get them... I won't go down to the lowest tier. I don't think it's functionally worth it to limit their workload that much. That's a pretty good start. Then after they collect the berries, we are going to want to collect wheat, or straw rather, for houses. And just the same way we did for the tutorial, we're going to lay out... Well, before we do that, search for resources. Hello, Chief. We need to establish a settlement around the altar. So it wants me to find copper ore and coal, and will reward me settlement spirit if I do it. Sounds good. So now my militiamen can go out and look for copper and coal. So back to the tents. And we have a population of 6. So there's the tent layout. No, one thing I will say is you shouldn't venture too far into the unexplored woods. Like for instance, I just avoided getting attacked by like turnip monsters. But there we go. Wow, that was fast. I found copper here and coal here. So that mission's already done. And we got settlement spirit for it. I don't yet have a sage's workshop to actually spend the spirit. So it's a resource I can't really put to use at the moment, but that's fine. It's good to have it. This warehouse at the moment is like for everything. I'll eventually restrict what we store in there. The other thing we're going to want pretty early on is the workbench. So I'll plop a workbench right there to get constructed, which will link up to the warehouse. But we've got our berries, and soon we'll have the tents as well. And that will keep our villagers happy. If you're wondering, the militiamen don't need houses. They don't need anything. They don't need food. They need to be healed occasionally, of course, but like they don't suffer from the same penalties as your citizens do. Similar to games like Farthest Frontier, for instance, where it has like military units that don't have the needs of citizens. These tents are waiting on some logs. But we're cutting down plenty of trees for that. I'm going to do like a real shallow survey of the immediate area around. Because if there's like a dangerous area, I ought to be aware of it. Looks like we just found... Oh, great. We found some turnip monsters. Not too many, but the seeds that they provide are useful. And here's a big group of beet monsters. Whoa! Nope. One militiaman down. And that's what you get for being careless. Now, if you run away far enough, like, they will de-aggro. But in this case, I want to clear them out so they don't harm my people. So I'm waiting for Denislava to heal up a little bit more. And I'll just, like, micro her to clear out the remaining. So you can see why it's, like, so dangerous to go far away from the center of your altar. Because you can find yourself very, very quickly dead. You know, I already lost a soldier. We'll make up for that, though. So there is a wounded person up here. But I don't really want to go up there until I'm fully healed, because otherwise it's a bit of a personal risk. And we've got one of the tents up so far. Now, if I am going to bring in another wounded person, let's go ahead and preempt the construction of some more tents so that we don't have any homelessness. And as far as task priorities go, construction is the highest. I find that, like, the task priorities sometimes reset back to just, like, auto. And you have to remind it, hey, you know, do the thing that I ask you to do. Same is true of the work mode. We're getting pretty close to our maximum settlement spirit. We can only get up to 300. So in this case, it would be really wise for me to get a Sage's Workshop sooner than later so that we can actually spend the spirit. Which means obtaining copper and cutting stone blocks. Because otherwise, when we max out, we don't have anything to spend it on unless I want to cast a pointless spell. And in this case, I could have probably helped the other militiaman casting Scorching Beam. I forgot I had Scorching Beam. But knowing what we need for this workshop, we are going to need some copper. So let's go ahead and queue up the copper that I found to be mined. And it's sleep time. So you'll see some of the... not all the houses got built. So some of the villagers are sleeping on the ground. And that means that their spirit and energy are not going to be replenished in the same way that the ones that have shelter will be. Hey, Stevie, thank you for the resub. Alright, we're going to send our militiamen out to go try to help this person, but being really careful, and I'll play on slower speed to not, like, run anything any dangerous. So there's more coal up this way, there's some straw. And you are going to get some berries. So opening up the priorities here, they like obtaining, they like hunting. I'm going to turn off the unnecessary tasks that they have. And we have a new mission. Look, Chief, we found settlements in the forest before, and I'm telling you, we need to build a barracks and hire warriors as soon as possible. Sounds good. So here's our current quest. Train a swordsman. Build a barracks. So here's the barracks. And I'll lay this bad boy out like here. And that needs 3 cut stone. Meaning we're going to need some more stone. No problem. And here's the new guy coming in. And here's all their personality impacts. Hopefully one of them or 2 of them will make good swordsmen. Okay, so we have 7 settlers, 8 houses. There's plenty of housing for everybody, and we're just waiting on the sage's workshop and the barracks to be constructed. Also seems like I am relatively low on wood again, so we'll cut down some extra trees. Keeping a very close eye on our forest vengeance, because as that climbs closer to 100, we will trigger like an avenge attack. So I'm going to say carpentry and stone crafting is going to be higher priority than construction, so that we're making the construction materials and the cut stone to supply the construction projects. Oh, and here's another person willing to be recruited, walking in from the edge of the map, going up to the altar, and they are focused. Sounds good. Turning off any unneeded work from him. Done. As far as cut stone goes, let's go order a minimum of 10. Metal rods, I'm going to order a minimum of 5. And firewood, I'm going to order a minimum of 25. So that will give them a lot of workshop things to do. And those metal rods are going to require coal and probably more copper. So I'm going to send my militiamen out to try to find... I'm sure there was... Usually copper's in clusters of like 3 or more, so I'm sure there's copper just where I mined up the last bit of it. I just need to go explore that. Oh yeah, there's some right here. Perfect. Ah, there's also an altar here. One of the god altars. Which gives warrior and settler visibility is increased. Basically, I can see farther. Not a particularly strong blessing in terms of defending myself. It's not bad, but I'm not going to go out of my way for it, for sure. Alright, now that we have the Sage's Workshop, let's go... Oh, no, it's not built yet. We need to deliver 2 copper for that. But they're all going to be tired and sleeping in just a moment. Oh, it got done. Sweet. So, we have just reached a new settlement level, which means that we can unlock research. So, opening up the research screen, I'm going to spend spirit points, unlocking my first. And for this, I will go for farming. So, we'll be able to build a farm soon as well. And then also leveling up gives us access to Carpenter Workshop, the fair, which is where your citizens can go to like wind down, and a bunch of other things. All right, the current priority right now is, though, to continue working on this barracks. So the barracks needs cut stone, and we're currently cutting stone. It also needs straw, so I'm going to go collect some straw. And then if we find ourselves... So now we can store up to 600 settlement spirit. And if we find ourselves with 300 or 250 of it, we can unlock more tech. And next tech might be Spirit Charm or a Tavern or something. We'll have to figure that out once we get it. Now they're starting to get tired and go to sleep. And the game is warning me that, like, no one's working on the workbench, which is totally normal, because, of course, they're sleeping. But we have 5 cut stone. We only need 3 for the barracks. So as soon as we collect a little bit more straw, we'll have all the materials needed for the barracks. And we'll get rewarded settlement spirit and construction materials as a result. A lot of these quests are, like, timed, and if you run out, there's a penalty as well. So if you accept those quests, you should focus upon it. Now, one of the problems with this game is there is, like, performance degradation over time, where the game will start running chunkier. Luckily, it saves and loads pretty quickly, and that's all you need to do to, like, get it back to running normal. So I'll be periodically rebooting. I'm not quite at the point where I feel like I need to do that now, but it is one of the reasons why this is not as highly rated as you'd expect. So we have 2 days until a blood moon. And I definitely want to prep for that blood moon, which means expanding my military enough so that I can actually survive. Is it a mem leak? I don't know. I'm not going to go into what it is exactly, but all I know is saving only takes, you know, like a second, and then loading is really not that much longer. So it's a pretty easy thing to do. I do hope that they fix it, though. Just last week I was playing Synergy, which has very much the same issue. Okay, they're not actually wounded, they're just, like, hungry. You just ignore them. Now, I'm relatively low on berries, so it'd be a good idea to grab some more berries before we run out. So there's 50 berries over there, 10 and 50. And we're getting the last of the straw delivered, and here is the barracks. Perfect. So opening up the barracks, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to retrain my militiamen from a militia to a swordsman. So a militiaman has a Wolverine Rage and Prayer, and a swordsman has Shield Strike and Prayer, but as you can see, the HP difference is 380 or 600, and also higher defense. And higher regeneration. So Swordsman's going to be way better. And then on top of that, I am going to train Zvonimir as a swordsman as well. So I'll have 2 swordsmen. And there's the reward. Perfect. We have enough settlement spirit for another tech. So for this tech, I am going to go for a tavern. Oh no, our settlement tech is too low. I'm gonna save this technology point for now. And then I'm going to increase my spirit altar's level, which is the core of our settlement, to raise our settlement level. This requires boards, which can only be manufactured in the carpentry workshop. So let's get a carpentry workshop out to get the boards. Plopping it there, and the game was indicating that I didn't have enough logs for that, so cutting down some additional trees. I'm getting pretty close to Forest's Vengeance level, but I'm not worried about that just yet. I will keep an eye on it, though. Oh, and here's another person that wants to join up. A knight! Hell yes! Knight is a really strong combat trait. Gives you hunger, health, and damage. That'll be really useful. Now, I did build a farm, but I actually haven't built it yet. Like, I researched the tech. So let's also get a farm up. And I'll put the farm here. Farm also requires boards, just like the altar level. So we're going to have a lot of boards to be queued up on the Carpenter's Workshop once it's done. For the new person, let's turn off some unnecessary work to lower their workload so that they can have the energy to last throughout the day. So some people are getting a little tired before, like, the end of day due to their diet, spirit level, lodging, etc. And there is a ghost here, an ash hag. So there's multiple ways to deal with the ash hag. Easiest way is for my swordsman to pray and be able to attack them. So this ash hag is like leeching energy from our people, making them exhausted. Which is why the people around this ash hag are like more tired than everyone else. But luckily, with a little bit of prayer, we can ghost bust. That ash hag's dead. It also looks like there's a revenant over here, which we should kill as well. I don't actually have a campfire yet, so there's not really a campfire for me to light. I could build one, though. Done. Alright, because my settlers haven't rested in a while, their morale's a little low. But we'll fix that with the tavern and farm and all that soon. And we are maybe about to get enough for another research point. So I'm going to get Spirit Charm here. And then my next research point I'll save for when our colony level's a little bit higher. And here is the Blood Moon path, so we know the Blood Moon is coming in from the west-southwest. We're at 99 Force Vengeance. Flirting with the line of aggression. Alright, Carpenter Workshop is up. So we'll queue up, oops, let's do it this way. We need 8 boards. Which obviously means we need more logs. Which means I'm inevitably going to trigger the forced aggression here, but that's fine. It's unavoidable. As the game told you, you really can't progress without pissing off the forest. You just shouldn't piss off the forest more than what is necessary. And I'm going to extinguish this campfire for now. We don't really need it on during the day. Especially if there's no ash hags around. So now that we've hit 100 Forest Vengeance, what ends up happening is there's a lair out here in the wilds which will send attackers to us periodically. And I can send my soldiers out to go quell the vengeance by destroying the monster spawner, essentially. So I'm sending my 2 swordsmen out here to fight the monsters that are threatening to raid our village for its vengeance. And this monster spawner has 4 more enemies. And it's also a really good way to farm dark shards, which are really important for making your military stronger. Dark shards ahead of level up. Do a little bit of a prayer. And then after the prayer, we will destroy the Timber Fiend's lair. Alright, so the farm and the altar needs the boards. And then once we get the farm, I'll be able to lay out some farmland. Now, these, like, evil eyes everywhere indicate that there is, like, monster spawners nearby. So, like, there's another Timber Fiend lair right here. So I should be careful not to go stray too far from my target, because it can end up bad. Thank you for tuning in to Night is Coming, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode on our upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow villagers.